In our last episode, we arrived at Canterbury Commons to discover a battle waging between two superheroes, or supervillains, called the Mechanist and the AntAgonizer, or AntAgonizer. After turning Canterbury Commons into a merchant empire of the capital wastelands, we were hired by the town's mayor, Uncle Rowe, to put an end to the constant mischief done by the Mechanist and the AntAgonizer. But now we have to find them. I don't have time to do both, so we'll tackle the AntAgonizer today. While interviewing the residents of the town, we learned some important clues. Her real name is Tanya Kristoff. She was a child of caravan merchants who constantly roamed the wasteland. Her favorite hobby as a child was reading hubris comics. And the Fallout 3 official strategy guide tells us that Tanya's favorite comic was Grognak the Barbarian. But her childhood came to an abrupt end when, as a teenager, a swarm of ants attacked her parents' caravan, killing them both. Watching her parents be devoured by ants traumatized her. She immersed herself in the world of hubris comics, discovering and developing a new affinity for the supervillain called the AntAgonizer. As the years went on, Tanya began to identify with the AntAgonizer and to develop a sympathy for the plight of the humble ant. It was mankind who created this post-apocalyptic wasteland. The ants didn't do it. They didn't ask to become monsters. We made them monsters. And in her own deluded mind, she convinced herself that all of humanity, including her parents, deserve a horrible death. We learned from the townsfolk that she has a cave-like lair somewhere in the Warrens north of Canterbury Commons. Sure enough, we find a big metal door in a rockside while exploring the rocks just north of the town. This leads to the Canterbury Tunnels. At first, it is rather unassuming. We don't see caves or a nest of ants, but as we step forward, we find the tunnels booby-trapped. But booby-trapped by whom? This is a great clue that we're in the right place. We find ourselves at a crossroads. We could go down into the east or down into the north. We'll start by going to the east for now, but this just leads to a dead end. We find a large rectangular room with a few containers to loot. Ooh, look at that. We can disarm a tripwire, but what was it connected to? We don't find any hanging fragmentation bouquets, but then we see it. A rigged shotgun on a nearby shelf. Also on the shelf are a few first aid kits and a variety of other containers. But when done exploring, we can turn around and go down the only path remaining to the north. This brings us to a platform overlooking a vaulted chamber. To get to the bottom, we take a staircase down, and then we can exit this room using a northwestern door on the lower floor. This door leads to a tunnel that snakes even deeper into the earth. We again come to a crossroads. We can go south or west. Heading south first, we find another frag mine on the ground, and turning left, we see a little bit of a storage area where we find a stealth boy laying out. But there's not much in these boxes. We find another frag mine by a generator. Ooh, that would have been nasty. And yet another one in a nook filled with chairs, but this leads to another dead end. So after looting the red toolbox, we can turn back around and this time go west. But this leads to yet another big rectangular empty room. Or, so it seems at first. After turning the room upside down, we find a switch on the western wall. And a stairway opens to the south. Taking the stairs down, we find a door that leads to sewer tunnels filled with ants. Ooh, sorry, dog meat. Look at that. Sliced them along the side. Sorry, boy. The sewer water runs green with toxic waste. The path through the sewer itself is blocked off with grating, but we find a hole in the wall, which leads to a cave network. Here we find ant refuse piles. Sometimes these contain goodies. We'll have to keep our eyes open. Eventually, we reach a split, and we find an ant to the right. Let's see, we could go right or left. This looks like it goes in a big loop. So going right down the lit path, sure enough, this loops around and connects to the other path. However, the path does open up in a new direction to the south. Going down the southern passage, we see a nook off to the east where we can loot more ant refuse piles. But this is a dead end, so turning around and turning south, we travel down a hill where we see a bunch of barrels have collected, then back up to find another ant.
Hey! Where?
This ant was guarding a door at the end of the tunnel, a door that leads to the AntAgonizer's lair. On the other side of the door, we pass stalagmites and stalactites until the path opens up into a vaulted chamber. And here, sitting on her throne to the northeast, we find the AntAgonizer. Now, this confrontation can go a number of ways. If we arrive while wearing the Mechanist costume...
So, Mechanist, you've come to throw yourself on the mercy of the Ant Queen? Very well. We shall grant you the kindest of our gifts for any human. A swift death.
She mistakes us for the Mechanist and attacks us immediately. She also sicks her ants on us, who attack us from behind. But if we arrive and we're not wearing the Mechanist costume...
So at last, you've penetrated the court of the AntAgonizer, queen of all ants. Were you sent by that meddling Mechanist? He'll learn that no one can stand before my royal regimen of fighting ants. Explain yourself. Why shouldn't I have my pretties kill you where you stand?
Your ants are a joke. Time to die, crazy lady.
My loyal subjects are the result of 100 million years of evolution, and they'll outlive your pitiful kind. We'll see who has the last laugh. Now, my Ant Royal Guard, kill this unruly peasant.
And she also attacked.
Ooh, I've got your back. Damn.
On her body, we find quite a stash. Her unique item, Ant's Sting, the AntAgonizer Lair key, which opens up a secret back passage, a finger telling us she's truly evil, and the AntAgonizer's costume. When fully repaired, the AntAgonizer's costume has 20 DR. Like Derek hinted, it grants +1 to agility, but costs us 1 charisma. It's a decently heavy suit of armor weighing 15 pounds. A T-51B suit of power armor weighs 40 pounds for perspective. And it comes with the matching helmet, which when fully repaired, and when all perks are considered, has 6 DR, but no other special bonuses, though it can be worn with glasses and hats, allowing those bonuses to stack with it. 6 is pretty decent DR for the helmet, but not for the weight. It weighs 5 pounds. The T-51B power armor helmet, for example, only weighs 4 pounds, but has 10 DR. This is, of course, a one-of-a-kind item, so we can't repair it with any other armor from the game. So if we choose to use it as our go-to armor, we'll be constantly repairing it from caravan merchants. The Ant Sting appears to be an ordinary kitchen knife, but don't let appearances deceive you. This is one of the most powerful melee weapons in the entire game. When fully repaired, it only has a damage of 4 and deals 3 attacks per second, which at first glance is exactly the same as a regular old knife, but it comes with a poison effect, which deals 4 damage over 10 seconds. The kicker is that poison effects stack, so if this weapon is used outside of vats, one can very quickly stack this poison effect up to 12 times. And at that point, this knife is dealing 90 DPS, which outclasses even the shish kebab. Though of course it does take 12 seconds of attacking to stack enough poison effects to get to that DPS. But it can be repaired by any common knife, making it a pretty viable weapon. Now, the Fallout 3 official strategy guide says that the only way to get this weapon is to side with the AntAgonizer, whereupon she gives it to you. But in my game, I found it on her body after killing her. But supposing we don't want to kill her outright, we find many ways to carry on a conversation. We could side with her by saying, "Relax, I'm here to help you get rid of that Mechanist character."
This is an unexpected surprise. A human who understands its place. One who realizes that ants are destined to walk this land, while humans and their toys are destined only to rot beneath it. Perhaps even a human who wants to join the winning side, yes? One that would humbly beg admittance to the Ant Queen's court?
I don't care about your court. I just want the Mechanist dead.
You're a rebellious little soldier, but I respect your strength. You may work with my colony for now. Humanity shall fall, and our colony shall feast.
I swear, we will destroy the Mechanist and his pitiful toys.
Excellent! Rise, my loyal soldier, and prepare for battle. We leave to fight the Mechanist immediately. Humanity shall fall. Our colony shall feast. But wait, I sense an intruder in my royal lair. Who dares interrupt my celebration? It must be the Mechanist. His meddlesome metal army is already inside. Destroy them!
With that, the Mechanist and his robots attack from behind. The Antagonizer races straight for the Mechanist, bypassing all of the robots. Because of this, she can get hit by all of them on her way, and it's common to find them both dead at the end of the battle.
Unable to continue.
Glad that's over.
This is one way to kill them both without having to pull the trigger yourself. If we manage to keep the Antagonizer alive, however, we can return to the Antagonizer for our next orders.
Excellent. Now peel that Tin Man's suit from his corpse and bring it to me. I wish to examine it more closely. Bring me the suit of the Mechanist, and then we can talk.
She wants us to retrieve the Mechanist costume. On the Mechanist's body, we find the Mechanist costume and a weapon called Protectron's Gaze. But we'll go over these when we visit the Mechanist's forge. When we return to the Antagonizer...
At last, you've pried the shell off that meaty little Mechanist. Give it to me.
Why do you want the suit?
Isn't it only fitting to gloat over the corpse of one's fallen foe? To revel in a victory over a larger and stronger opponent overcome? If I couldn't be there to personally strip the facade from the iron interloper, the least I am owed is a chance to gloat over his shell.
We have three options. We can say, don't waste your time with the suit. It isn't worthy of your attention.
You're right. Why bother with a trophy of one pitiful human when I can go forth and make a trophy of the entire world? But when the time comes, remember, as a friend of the Ant Queen's court, you will know the mercy of a quick, painless death. Now leave me. I must prepare to leave the pitiful town of Canterbury and plan for greater conquests.
With that, we keep the Mechanist suit, and she gets up to leave, but we lose Karma. After this, it's also possible to find her in a random encounter, and as she warns us, her ants will be hostile to us, and then, so will she. Or we can hand it over and say, here, you can have it. Just move on and leave Canterbury alone.
Excellent! It shall make a fine memento of a nemesis bested. A trophy of a foe antagonized. For your loyal assistance, take this blade. Its sting carries the venom of 1,000 ants, and your foes shall tremble before it. Now that the tin-plated menace is no more, I shall take my leave of this town. I do believe it's time for my colony to spread.
With that, she takes the costume, but gifts us her weapon, Ant's Sting, and we again lose Karma. Or we can say, if you want the suit, you'll have to take it from me.
Very well. I never got a chance to take it from the Mechanist's corpse, so yours will have to do.
In which case, she turns hostile and we have to kill her. Or we can say, wait, first, let's talk about what you've been doing.
You would dare to tell the Antagonizer to wait? No human commands the Ant Queen. But as you have defeated my nemesis, I will allow you to talk. Quickly.
This puts us into the same peaceful resolution dialogue tree we would have gotten when we first met her if we didn't tell her that we were here to help her get rid of the Mechanist. At that time, instead, we could have said, your days of terrorizing the town are over. Give up, and you won't get hurt.
Ha ha! You would walk here and presume to command me? Humanity's time has come to an end. Your kind died because it knew only petty bickering and wars. But not so. The noble ant. It works with its brethren, knowing only loyalty and duty. And this is why they have grown, while humanity crumbled. Once I've finished with that pathetic Mechanist, I will be free to spread my colonies across the wastes.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I should join your side.
Yes, you would join me in fighting the Mechanist. Him and his little tin men, made by humans to kill humans for other humans. Would you turn your back on humanity's failings? Would you join the Ant Court in our destruction of the Mechanist and his hubris?
There's bound to be a peaceful solution. I'll try to convince him to give up.
Ha! When it comes to the struggle for power, there is no peace. There is only strength and conflict. But the Mechanist might just be foolish enough to give up. He believes in logic and reason and other tools of human weakness. Yes, go to the Mechanist and talk. Meanwhile, I will stay here and prepare for war.
In which case, she leaves us alone, but now we have to run off and find the Mechanist. Or we can try to reason with her by saying, without your suit, you're just a normal human like anyone else.
Lies! Unlike the rest of you peasants, I was born for greatness. I was never meant to crawl in the muck of mankind. But the ants knew my destiny. When I was but a larva, they rescued me from my filthy human family. They saw my nobility, and they saved me from a human life of fear and pain. Now, I will lead them to their glorious future.
You do realize you're not really an ant, right?
Of course I do. Do you think I'm insane? Why, with this suit, I'm more than any ant could hope to be. And 10 times more than any mere mortal like you or the Mechanist. But now, the time for your prattle has come to an end. If you shall not bow before your ant queen, then bleed before the antagonizer.
In which case, she attacks. But there are 3 ways to talk her down peacefully without violence. We only unlock the first one if we've already visited Hubris Comics and we read the terminal entry that included a disgruntled fan letter to the editor. This fan letter complained about the story arc of the Antagonizer. I covered it in a video that I did on the topic that you can watch here. If we've read that letter, we find an option to say, you got this Antagonizer idea from a comic, didn't you?
What? No! No children's book could possibly capture the true depth of the Antagonizer.
From what I read, Grognak totally kicked her butt.
Lies! Grognak could never defeat me. He's not even real. Not like the Antagonizer. I'll have no more of your insolence. Ant Royal Guards, kill this interloper.
And she attacks. Or we can say, I read that the Antagonizer was an orphaned girl who could still be redeemed.
You really believe that? When I read that comic, it explained so much. Where I came from, who I was destined to be, what I had to do. But it never said the Antagonizer could ever have a chance to go back to being normal. It never said I had a chance.
In which case we talk her down. Another way to talk her down is if we talked with Joe Porter and learned her real name, Tanya. If we do, we find a speech check to say, humanity has made mistakes, but there's still a chance for us, and for you, Tanya. Note that the Hubris Comics one overwrites this one in the dialogue tree. But choosing this option gives us the same reaction from the Antagonizer as the one we get if we pass a lady killer check to say, we all make mistakes, but there's still a chance for us. I believe in you.
You're wrong. Humans are cruel, hurtful beasts. They can't be saved. We can't be. I can't go back, but I can't keep doing this. I can't be as bad as they were. Not if someone like you believes in me. Please, I think I've made some terrible mistakes. If you really think I still have a chance, just let me go. I'll give you the suit. No one ever has to see the Antagonizer again. Just please, let me have another chance.
Well, now that I have your suit, I'd say you don't have a chance at all. Time to die.
What? No!
Oh, here! Like
You
where?
get attacked from behind by her ants. Interestingly, we don't lose karma for choosing this option. Or we can say, certainly. Good luck in your new life.
Thank you. I don't know how I can just thank you.
And with that, she walks off and we gain karma. We can now explore her lair. Heading east, we find a bit of a lounge, a couple chairs on an elevated platform surrounded by tin cans and foodstuffs. There is a bloody human skull on these bookshelves. Heading out and moving south, we find a disgusting nook cardboard on the ground, and blood everywhere. Perhaps this is where she fed victims to her ants. Heading back to her throne, we find a bottle of Nuka-Cola Quantum on a cinder block. That's it for the throne room. We saw the antagonizer walking down a pathway to the north, and then she disappears. She traveled up a ladder in this room. This appears to be her bedroom, but the bed is not set to owned. Because of this, we could, if we wanted to, turn the antagonizer's lair into a viable player home. This ladder makes entering and leaving pretty easy. If we kill the antagonizer, we find a key on her corpse that allows us to unlock the ladder. What? Alternatively, if we didn't get it, we have to pick the ladder, which I don't get. We see that the ladder brings us out of a pipe on top of some rocks just south of Canterbury Commons. But that's only one way to resolve this quest. Next, we must confront the Mechanist. But sadly, I'm out of time. I'm preparing for a business trip, so my videos are going to be a bit shorter all this week. But never fear, we'll continue with the story of the Mechanist and explore his forge in tomorrow's video. I publish new videos every week here on my channel, so if you want to make sure you don't miss it, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I have a brand new shirt in the shop. The Eulogy Jones song was a running gag during my series on Paradise Falls, and now we can celebrate that with this unique design. The shirt comes in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. It comes on other products as well, such as smartphone cases, mugs, pillows, posters, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. I'm becoming more active on Twitter. I use Twitter to respond to viewers and to make announcements, like when I need to leave town for a little bit. So if you're on Twitter, I encourage you to follow me at Oxhorn. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early as we explore the Mechanist's Forge.